The year I was at my most socially awkward, I pretended to be mute in a rich young master's bed in the capital circle. No matter how hard he tried, I gritted my teeth and didn't make a sound. Until his unattainable love returned from overseas and gave me a 30 million severance fee. Overcome with excitement, I blurted out, "Thank you, boss, generous boss." I guiltily covered my mouth, and the man chuckled in amusement. "Little mute, don't tell me this is a medical miracle." A mute-kept woman. No need for flattery off the bed. No need to praise daddy's performance on the bed. The only trouble was, I couldn't curse when I was pissed. Like now. Lucas noticed my absent-mindedness. His hand gripped my waist, and he flipped me over. Kissing and biting me, he seemed determined to tear off my flesh and swallow it. "Aw, you bastard!" I cursed inwardly, but on the surface, I was pathetic. Red-eyed, tears streamed down my face. Finding a point of support in the rocking, I hugged the man's neck and nuzzled his face in a plea. From experience, as long as I put on this expression, Lucas would soon end the battle. But tonight, he was possessed. He pulled out one ultra-thin 0.01 condom after another. From the bed to the bathroom to the sofa. He didn't stop until midnight, when he finally held me in his arms, sated, and lay back down on the bed. I was exhausted. But the thought of what was about to happen instantly banished all sleepiness. That afternoon, one of Lucas's buddies came to visit. The study door wasn't closed properly, and snippets of conversation drifted out. "Jojo is coming back tomorrow. Is Lucas sending a car or picking her up himself? Jojo is not someone you can call like that." Lucas's voice was cold. The man quickly corrected himself. Okay, I'm not worthy. It's your exclusive nickname." Although it was an apology, it was mostly teasing. Everyone in the circle knew that Lucas had an unforgettable, unattainable love. He protected her very well. People only knew there was such a person. They didn't know her name or what she looked like. No one knew why they didn't end up together. Once, when I was bored, I helped Lucas tidy up his study. I saw a faded old photo. The unattainable love was wearing a hat, facing the side of the camera. The only half of her face that was visible looked 8 parts like me. The scene of my first encounter with Lucas flashed in my mind. I was standing on the side of the road playing with my phone. A car stopped in front of me. Without paying attention, I thought the Didi I'd ordered had arrived. I opened the car door and got in. When you're out and about, your identity is what you make it. As a socially awkward person, I always took out a scrolling screen I had prepared in advance to avoid being talked to by the driver. "I am mute, please do not talk to me." The moment I held up the phone screen, I realized that the driver was a handsome, aloof, and refined man. So handsome that the car he used for Didi seemed like a luxury car I couldn't afford. He looked at the phone screen again and again. After a long daze, he asked in a hoarse voice where I was going. Seeing the photo, I suddenly understood Lucas's distraught expression at the time. It wasn't because I got into the wrong car. He didn't kick me out on the spot. It wasn't because of the mute identity I fabricated. It was because I looked like his unattainable love. The office was silent for a moment, and the conversation started again. What about the one at home? Timid and mute, she shouldn't be able to meet anyone. I didn't listen anymore. I turned around and left discreetly. If I didn't leave, I wouldn't be able to control my emotions. I was about to laugh out loud. 3 years! A whole 3 years! Pretending to be mute for 3 years. Finally, I had made it to the breakup. I was so happy that I couldn't sleep at all. I turned my back to Lucas. I unlocked my phone and entered the Kept Women support group on WeChat. I was pulled into the group by an enthusiastic woman in a private room when I accompanied Lucas to a social event. The ultimate goal of the group members was to get a sky-high breakup fee, to achieve financial freedom and retire in comfort. I couldn't help but share in the group. Lucas's unattainable love is coming back soon. As soon as the message was sent, all the night owls who hadn't gone to bed were blown up. "Aw, congratulations, Wendy. Welcome the unattainable love back home." I heard my sugar daddy's unattainable love is studying in Germany. Envy the sisters. My man doesn't have an unattainable love, lifeless version. After a burst of envy, Stacy curiously at me. Lucas is so rich and generous to you, the breakup fee will definitely be a lot. Lucas had always been very generous to me. 50,000 a month for pocket money. Sending bags and jewelry every now and then. Occasionally, he would have the whim to send luxury cars and mansions. I didn't want the luxury cars and mansions. After all, I'm poor and can't afford them. I can't afford the property management fees either. It's not easy to take them away, and it's troublesome to find an agent to sell them. The thought of it all was overwhelming for a socially awkward person. So the only hope for getting rich was the breakup fee from Lucas. Millions? Or tens of millions? The more I thought about it, the more excited I became, twisting into a pretzel on the bed. The next moment, I was pulled into the man's arms again. Can't sleep? The hot body pressed against me again. I was so scared that I used my hands and feet to push the man away. I put my hands together under my face, indicating that I was going to sleep right away. I'm going to the airport to pick up someone important to me tomorrow. I suddenly opened my eyes that I had just closed. Lucas asked casually, "Do you want to come with me?" I was dumbfounded. Who? Me? Asking me if I want to go to Geth. A substitute to pick up the unattainable love. Was he planning to piss her off on the spot? I shook my head violently. Lucas stared at me for a moment. Okay, you're timid, we can meet when you want to. Lucas always indulged me. When we first got together, he mentioned arranging a job for me. After I refused, he hasn't mentioned it since. As a socially awkward homebody, I was actually a little reluctant to leave this life of not having to go out to work and having food and clothing provided. My emotions uncontrollably sank into depression. At this moment, my phone vibrated. It was a text message notification from the bank card receiving a transfer. I probably won't be back tomorrow night, and I may not have time to be with you for the next few days. Take this money and buy whatever you like. I ignored Lucas. My eyes glowed as I stared at the phone screen. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, millions, 10 millions. I rubbed my eyes. I counted again and again. It was indeed 8 figures. Lucas gave me a breakup fee of 30 million. 30 million! A poor person suddenly became rich. Money clouded my mind. Overcome with excitement, I blurted out, "Thank you, boss, generous boss." Our eyes met. The atmosphere suddenly froze. I'm done for. I was so happy that I forgot I was mute. I mean, how can people be so polite? Realizing what a stupid thing I had done, I guiltily covered my mouth. My waist softened, and my body slid down. I buried myself in the quilt. The next moment, the man grabbed the back of my neck and lifted me up violently. Little mute. The little girl whom he had cherished for 3 years suddenly wasn't mute anymore. Lucas was so amused that he chuckled. Don't tell me this is a medical miracle? Ha ha. This joke wasn't funny at all. There was nowhere to hide. To block the scorching gaze on my body, I had no choice but to cover my face tightly with my hands. Little mute, talk. I shook my head, my voice muffled. Mutes don't talk. Lucas pinched the bridge of his nose. He looked at the little girl in front of him whose face was red and who wanted to hide, and felt a little helpless. Don't you have anything to say? I bit my lip, a little confused. Yes, I pretended to be mute and lied to him. I won't defend myself. And the breakup fee had already arrived. What else was there to say? I had nothing to say. But obviously, I had to say something at this moment. Let's change the way of thinking. Think about what Lucas wanted to hear and loved to hear. Suddenly, inspiration struck. Brother. Lucas's breath caught in his throat. As a cultured person, I desperately recalled those indescribable romance novels I had read in the past. After picking and choosing, I finally found a sentence that I could say. Brother is so big, so great, People like it so much. I praised haltingly. I cautiously moved away the 2 fingers that were covering my eyes. I glanced at Lucas's expression. His eyebrows were raised, and the corners of his mouth weren't tight. He didn't seem angry. I had been pretending to be mute to escape for so long, but I couldn't avoid it after all. Fortunately, tonight was the last night as a kept woman. I racked my brains and searched all the reserves in my mind. Brother was so amazing tonight, like he took medicine. Lucas's face instantly darkened. What did you say? Say it again? I swallowed. What was wrong with what I said? Did he not like brother? That's right, Lucas was getting old after all. He couldn't appreciate the brother-sister dynamic. My heart was pounding. I mustered my courage and repeated, Daddy was so amazing tonight. Before I could finish speaking, I was swallowed up by sticky entanglement. The man grabbed my hands, which were restless and didn't know where to put them. Lower and lower. Lucas's dark eyes were a little green in the dim light of the wall lamp. Little mute, say it again. The sky gradually brightened. The man was so excited that he seemed to have opened the door to a new world. I buried my wet head in the pillow. I thought dizzily. Fortunately, I was wise enough to pretend to be mute for 3 years. Otherwise, I would definitely die in bed. When I woke up again, it was afternoon. My whole body was sore. After shouting all night, my voice was even hoarser to the point where I couldn't speak. I had really become mute this time. I dragged my prosthetic-like legs downstairs. Aunt Wang saw me. She nodded hello, turned around and went into the kitchen to bring the warm porridge to the table. After doing this, she was like a fairy housekeeper. She disappeared silently. Lucas knew that I didn't like to interact with strangers. So from the beginning, he had told everyone who came and went in the house to reduce their presence. It was very friendly to socially awkward people. The more I thought about it, the more I felt that Lucas was actually pretty good. He was rich and handsome, and he was meticulous when he needed to be. He also had enough stamina when he didn't need to be. The only downside was he had another woman in his heart. Sigh. I was melancholy for 3 seconds. My hand inadvertently clicked on the transfer record of 30 million. It seemed, maybe, I didn't love him that much, haha. My heart was too small, and it could only hold money. As for Lucas? Forget it, considering how good he was. I'll help him out. Thinking like this, I went back to bed with peace of mind. I opened the novels on the bookshelf. Chapter 1, The Unattainable Love Returns Home. Okay, that's what I need. I'll study it. Half an hour later. I was so angered by the uncommunicative male and female leads that my liver hurt. I expressionlessly exited the novel. I opened WeChat and sent Lucas a peeking cat emoji. Lucas replied instantly. Are you awake? Aunt Wang is keeping the porridge warm for you. Eat something good later. Don't be greedy. Does it still hurt? Is it better? A capable man asks you if you're tired. An extremely capable man asks you if it hurts, if you're better. I buried myself in the quilt and kicked my legs wildly. After a long while, I replied coldly. Yeah. Lucas didn't reply instantly. He was probably busy. I took the opportunity to share the news I had gathered from the public account. Don't miss the girl next to you. No matter how well a man speaks, it's not as good as taking direct action. 30 little tricks to pursue girls. Cater to their preferences. After sending nearly 10, I felt at ease and clicked on the game. I played for 2 hours. When I looked at the messages again, I realized that Lucas had replied a long time ago. Received. What did received mean? Did he send a work message by mistake? The next moment, I received a call from Lucas's assistant. Confused, I went downstairs and opened the door. He took out a black card and handed it to me. Ms. Wendy, Mr. Lucas asked me to give you this supplementary card. My eyes widened like fried eggs. For me? Assistant-Tess always tense, robot-like expression collapsed at that moment. Ms. Wendy, aren't you mute? We looked at each other. It seemed like I hadn't told him the truth. What a mess. It burned out the CPU of the elite. After listening to the explanation, assistant pushed up his glasses. His brain started working again. Sorry, I'm just making a fuss about nothing. I pursed my lips and changed the subject in embarrassment. I heard that Mr. Lucas is going to pick up an important person this afternoon. Assistant nodded. Yes, Ms. Wendy, would you like to go with him? A substitute to pick up the unattainable love. Are you straight men crazy? I smiled awkwardly. Isn't that inappropriate? Assistant didn't know what he was thinking. He changed his mind. It's a bit sudden. It's better to prepare yourself mentally before meeting her. What was going on? Couldn't they just not meet the unattainable love? I immediately avoided this topic. Lucas is so busy. Did you help him prepare flowers, gifts, etc. for the welcoming dinner tonight? Ms. Wendy doesn't have to worry about that. Mr. Lucas arranged it last month. He prepared it last month. Hee. How important. I lowered my head and looked at the black card in my hand. I didn't know what to feel. A little sour, a little bitter. After all, we had been together for 3 years. It was impossible not to have any emotional fluctuations. In order not to have any miscellaneous thoughts. After saying goodbye to assistant, I went back to bed to play games. I played games until dawn. I played until my eyes were sore and my head was dizzy. I threw my phone away. I fell asleep directly. Between sleep and half awake, I heard the door open. I squinted my eyes. I vaguely saw the man's naked back in the dim light. The broad and muscular back. The tight waist, the back groove fell neatly from the center. Was I dreaming about Lucas? I despised myself for being hopeless. I turned over and continued to sleep. I hadn't fallen asleep yet. Cool lips landed on my forehead. They moved to my eyelids, the tip of my nose, and finally landed on my swollen lips. Mmmm. I was a little dazed by the kiss. When Lucas scooped up my legs, I suddenly woke up. I instantly jumped out of bed. So I wasn't dreaming just now. Why are you back? Lucas had just come out of the bathroom, wearing only a white bath towel. The dim wall lamp illuminated the fair skin. The 8-pack abs blatantly seduced me. Whether it was the front or the back. I could only think of one word to describe this man. Fatal! I licked my lips, suddenly a little thirsty. Can't I come back? Lucas looked at the time and explained, I worked overtime a little late, but fortunately, I finished everything, and I don't have to rush to the company tomorrow. I was a little confused. Work overtime? Didn't you push everything to pick up the unattainable love? Did assistant tell you? Lucas spread his hands helplessly. She changed her flight and didn't tell me. I waited at the airport for 3 hours before I knew she didn't board the plane. She's probably still angry and deliberately tormenting me. I clicked my tongue in amazement. This unattainable love sounded a little difficult to coax, but when I thought about it, that made sense. If she was easy to coax, they would have been together long ago. There would be no room for me, a substitute. After Lucas finished speaking, he beckoned to me. Is it still swollen? Come here and let me see. If it was before, although I would have been too shy to lower my head, I would still have obediently moved closer. But now, did you see the message I sent you on WeChat? Lucas nodded. The card has no limit. Spend it as you like. Is it not enough to cater to her preferences? Damn it, I was seduced again. I struggled to look away. A man who doesn't respect himself is like rotten cabbage. Lucas obviously didn't understand what I was saying. He patted the space next to him, telling me to sit down and talk. I looked around vigilantly, making sure that the man's eyes were normal. There was even a hint of being in sage mode. Only then did I hesitate to go over and sit down, and earnestly taught, the past is the past, the present is the present. No matter what misunderstandings there are. If 2 people want to be together, the first thing they need to do is cut off relationships that shouldn't exist. Then give the person a legitimate identity to stand by your side, and let her have a full sense of security. Lucas was thoughtful. Then what is your suggestion? In order to prevent Lucas and the unattainable love from dragging on and on, misunderstandings for hundreds of chapters, I decided to fast forward directly to the finale. Propose. Since they love each other, my suggestion is to get married directly. After that day, Lucas was indeed busy. However, he didn't drive me away. He still fed me well and treated me well. I didn't understand. Did he still want to cheat? I sent my guess to the group. Stacy quickly replied, "Normal, men are like that. The love of the soul is above the waist, and the love of the body is below the waist. He loves the unattainable love, and he loves you, the red rose." I slammed the bed angrily. Sure enough, Lucas wasn't a good person either. No, it can't go on like this. If he doesn't drive me away, I'll leave myself. I picked up my suitcase and went to the cloakroom. I realized that there were too many things to take away. I didn't like shopping. Lucas directly took care of all the new products of the season, sending them directly to my home. If there was room at home, I'd put them away, and if there wasn't, I'd clear out a batch of old models to other places. I remembered, it seemed that Lucas bought another villa nearby just for this. At that time, he said he wanted to transfer it to my name. I refused because it was too much trouble to go out, and it was difficult to sell. I picked out my favorite clothes and bags to pack. If I couldn't take them away, I secretly went out to send some. I ran into assistant when I came back. He handed me a form. "Ms. Wendy, I plan to propose to my girlfriend. Can you help me fill out this questionnaire?" I glanced at it. There were questions about whether I liked Chinese or Western style. There were also questions about the desired scene, outdoor or indoor, whether I minded relatives and friends being present, etc. There were many questions and they were asked in detail. Shouldn't you ask your girlfriend these things? Assistant Tess' expression was a little stiff. My girlfriend is similar to Ms. Wendy. The proposal is a surprise, so it's not easy to ask her directly. I keenly caught something wrong. You. Assistant Tess' eyes were a little shifty, and he didn't dare to meet my eyes. You don't like me, do you? Hat's absolutely impossible. He coughed and explained, I mean her personality is very similar to Ms. Wendy's, but there are still big differences. It still felt weird, but I still took the form and started filling it out. We socially awkward people must choose indoor venues. Considering that the proposal requires an atmosphere, requires witnesses. Since they were proposing, Assistant Tess' girlfriend should have met the relatives and friends in advance. Instead of having strangers present, it's better to have relatives and friends. So I filled in that I didn't mind. In this way, I put myself in the perspective and analyzed it and filled out the form. I wish you happiness. Assistant took the form and put it away. No, it's your happiness. I knew this person was weird. Lucas is going to propose to the unattainable love. I heard that the unattainable love likes dolphins, and he will propose at the aquarium. Is it that simple and unadorned? I thought it would at least be a romantic and grand show with the whole city's screens showing in fireworks. I couldn't help but speak when I saw the sentence, whole city screens and stuff would be too embarrassing. The aquarium is so good, the little animals are cute, and the seawater is also romantic. My words were quickly ignored. They discussed the jewelry that would appear at the proposal. I put away my phone boredly. I suddenly realized that the unattainable love not only looked like me. The preferences are also similar. It was rare to have two people so alike in the world. Just after eating melons in the group, I met the person involved that night. Lucas hung his coat on the hanger. He asked casually, "The company is free the day after tomorrow. Shall we go to the aquarium?" Hearing the 3 words aquarium, I instantly thought of the proposal. Just the two of us? Lucas leaned closer. "If you mind, it can only be us." What was going on? I was confused. I asked directly, "What about Joe?" "Joe? Isn't she going?" Lucas paused as he was pulling his tie, turned around and stared at me. "You know?" I nodded. If there were no accidents, I should know. Suddenly, my waist was grabbed. My feet were suspended in the air, and the next moment I was placed sideways on the man's lap. He lowered his head slightly and gently touched my forehead. "Don't worry, she will like you." I was stunned. What did "she will like you" mean? Was he keeping a kept woman so openly? I couldn't stand it, not even a little bit. I dodged Lucas's kissing lips. Lewd. Dirty. Lucas, who was inexplicably scolded, flashed a trace of doubt in his eyes. The little girl ran away. Could it be that he had bullied her too much before? He didn't know why, and chased into the bedroom. He only saw a back view rolling away all the quilts. "Don't come in. You sleep in the study tonight." The man's hand reached into the quilt. I remembered that I was just a kept woman. I waited timidly for Lucas to get angry. But I only waited for the quilt to be pulled away. "It's not breathable. Don't suffocate yourself." His hand slid down and landed on my back, patting it gently as if to comfort me. "Be good, I won't touch you." After saying that, Lucas walked past me and pulled out another pillow. He left the bedroom. My tense heart began to beat uncontrollably. I pinched my sweaty palms. "Wendy, you're such a love-struck fool." I slammed my head against the headboard several times. I warned myself. I can't delay any longer. Tomorrow, I must leave tomorrow. Lucas had been a little restless since morning. He read a project document over and over again, but he still couldn't sign it. Suddenly, he didn't know what he thought of. He called assistant into the office. "Did you tell Wendy about Jojo?" Assistant was stunned. Ms. Wendy took the initiative to ask me about picking her up. Like a thunderbolt. Lucas suddenly stood up, his voice tight. Did you say who Jojo was?" Assistant was a little at a loss. "Didn't Mr. Lucas tell Ms. Wendy?" "Very good," Lucas said with a cold face, and finally realized what the problem was with sleeping in the study last night. He had to go back and explain to the little ancestor at home. At this moment, the office was knocked on. "Mr. Lucas, there's a package sent by a Ms. Wendy." He opened it, and it was the black card he had sent out. Lucas felt that things were starting to go wrong. Before he could make a phone call, he received a message from Wendy. "You proposed to your unattainable love, and I'm going back to my hometown to find my childhood sweetheart. I wish us all a happy future. Fist salute." He immediately called. He found that Wendy had blocked him. Assistant looked at Lucas's expression gradually stiffen. Slowly raised his eyes, even the muscles on his cheeks were twitching slightly. He looked like his wife had been cheated on. "Get me a plane ticket. The kind that can depart now, immediately, right away." In fact, the sentence about the childhood sweetheart wasn't entirely a lie to Lucas. I did want to find an older brother I knew in my childhood. The plane landed, and I changed trains. I went straight to my destination. But when I stood at the entrance of the neighborhood, I became timid again. How to find someone? Ask one by one? So many years had passed, would they have moved away? People came and went at the entrance of the neighborhood. But I seemed to have taken root on the ground. I couldn't move my legs. An old man brushed past my shoulder. He turned his head and looked at me suspiciously. This was a good opportunity to ask. But I opened my mouth, but I couldn't say anything. "A young and beautiful girl, what a pity she's mute." The old man's voice was loud, and he instantly attracted the attention of the crowd. All the passers-by at the entrance of the neighborhood looked at me. They whispered, pointed, and talked. Uncontrollable nervousness, erratic breathing. My vision went black. A dizzy spell. Just at the moment of falling, a pair of gentle hands caught me. A temporary paper cone was placed over my mouth and nose. His hand gently patted my chest. "Exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale." The person dispersed all the onlookers. He patiently smoothed my breathing. In my memory, there was also a person. When I fell, he supported me. "Jojo is great, she's not useless. Be good, hold on, we'll run out soon." "Not older sister, you have to call me older brother when we meet again." The fog in front of my eyes made it blurry. "Brother," I shouted subconsciously. "Be good, Don't be nervous. Familiar words made me slowly calm down. My consciousness returned to clarity. Only then did I realize that I had recognized the wrong person. I apologized in a panic. I'm sorry, older sister, thank you for your trouble. The person smiled from ear to ear. Turning to address the person behind me, I said, calling me older sister, what a sweet kid. Humph, if I get eyelash extensions, do a manicure, and put on a wig, I'll look like an older sister too. I peeked out and saw an elderly woman with gray hair, leaning on a cane. Then I turned to look at the older sister supporting me. That's when I realized she wasn't an older sister at all, but a very well-maintained grandmother who was at the forefront of fashion trends. She helped me up. This is my neighbor. She used to be a doctor when she was younger, and she was the first to notice something was wrong with you. I quickly thanked her. Both grandmothers were very welcoming and invited me to their home. I took the opportunity to inquire about the person I was looking for, but I had very little information. Plus, one grandmother had just returned from abroad, and the other had just been discharged from the hospital, so they weren't very familiar with the current residents of the neighborhood. It's okay, Wendy often visits. I'll help you find out, one said. Shameless, just because the little girl is being polite, you're actually calling yourself an older sister, the other retorted. Don't trust her, Grandma will ask around for you. I'm well liked, everyone in this neighborhood knows me. With that mouth of yours, I doubt you're well liked. They started arguing again. I retracted the foot I had just placed outside the door, squeezed between the two grandmothers, and started to mediate. You're both good. Don't argue. By the time I stepped out of the neighborhood again, it was already dark. I walked aimlessly down the street, my steps slow but steady. The quiet night nurtured feelings of loneliness. It felt like I had nowhere to go. Wendy. It sounded like someone was calling me. I turned towards the sound. A small electric scooter drove through the narrow path, blocking the path of the person rushing towards me. Little mute. The surroundings were a bit noisy, but I clearly heard the man's cold voice. Gotten bold, running so far away all by yourself. Lucas seemed to be having a particularly unlucky day. The ticket he bought in a hurry was only available in business class. Nearly 6'3", he was cramped in the seat with his legs bent. And he had to deal with a noisy, bratty kid. After finally getting off the plane, he took a taxi to the address Wendy had used to send her package, only to find that she hadn't returned. He finally managed to get Stacy's phone number through a friend. Wendy's only good friend, she should know where Wendy had gone. As soon as the phone was connected, he was met with a barrage of scolding. Before he could even defend himself, he was blacklisted. But all the frustration in his heart vanished the moment he saw Wendy. The little electric scooter in front finally drove away. Lucas let out a long breath, took a few strides, walked up to the little girl, cupped her face, and leaned down to touch his forehead to hers. Wendy, be good. They were very close. He spoke so FTLY, his tone somewhat coaxing and helpless. Why are you here? To find you. The evening breeze made my eyes sting. My nose suddenly felt sore. Lucas, why are you doing this? At that moment, I could no longer deceive myself. I cried as I yelled at him. Lucas! You big jerk! You already have someone you like. Why are you still messing with me? Lucas felt both heartache and amusement. Wendy, can't you see how much I like you? Huh? I asked blankly, foolishly. What about JoJo? Isn't she your unattainable love? Isn't that your only term of endearment? Lucas sighed. Seeing is believing. I'll take you to see her, and you'll understand. Lucas dragged me towards the neighborhood. I chattered behind him. Why do you like me? If you like me, why don't you call me by my full name and call JoJo so affectionately? Lucas, you're not really the kind of person Stacy described, are you? Are you having a spiritual love for me and a physical love for JoJo? Lucas's temples were throbbing. He covered my mouth. Little mute, say less. I pried his hand away. When you like me, you call me be good. When you don't like me, you call me little mute. Lucas. Be good. Stop making trouble. I covered my face, trying to calm myself down. On second thought, there were actually many misunderstandings. Maybe JoJo was an underage girl? Or a pet? Or maybe an unattainable love doesn't necessarily have to be a living being. It could also be a never-forgotten plate of egg fried rice. I secretly speculated in my heart. Does your JoJo also live in this neighborhood? I poked Lucas. When we see her later, don't call her so affectionately, just call her by her full name. Otherwise, what if I misunderstand again? Lucas glanced at me with an indescribable expression. But he still agreed under my coercion. Haha. I've turned the tables. The surrounding environment became more and more familiar, until we stood in front of the door I had just visited in the afternoon. Lucas pressed the doorbell. The door opened, and it was the trendy older sister I had met earlier. Why are you here? Can't I come? The atmosphere between the two was a bit strange. Was JoJo her granddaughter? It was possible. I peeked my head out from behind Lucas to say hello. Older sister. Then I kicked Lucas, signaling him to say hello. Lucas froze, took a deep breath, and closed his eyes tightly. JoJo Cowell. Me, confused face. Trendy older sister JoJo Cowell herself. You brat. How many times have I told you not to call me by my full name? Oh. I think you just want to anger me to death so you can inherit my estate sooner. Lucas raised an eyebrow. You don't let me call you grandma because you say it makes you look old and affects your chances of finding a second spring. And you don't let me call you by your full name because you say the Cowell surname is too rustic, and I, who share the Goose surname with your deceased father, can't understand your pain. It was okay to call you JoJo before, but now you're granddaughter-in-law mines, so I have to change the way I address you. JoJo Cowell, halfway through getting angry, had her attention diverted by the words granddaughter-in-law. She turned her head sharply to look at me. I was so scared that I shrank behind Lucas. It's over! The sky is falling. What grandson calls his grandma JoJo? Oh, old Cowell, your grandson's here, a neighbor grandmother said, opening her door after hearing the commotion. JoJo Cowell instantly blew up. You're just too talkative. Do you think it's any better to be named Ma? Grandma Ma readily admitted, it's really not that good. I accept being a workhorse my whole life, I don't run away from it. Unlike you, you old shameless woman, wanting your grandson to call you JoJo. A battle of the century was about to erupt. I tried to step forward to mediate, but Lucas pulled me into the house. Don't worry about it, they're always like this. Grandma Ma performed surgery on JoJo, on Grandma before. Later, the Goof family hired her to take care of Grandma's health, and the two of them have been arguing like this for half their lives. Now in their old age, I didn't expect their health situations to be reversed. Grandma Ma was just discharged from the hospital, and Grandma only found out a few days before returning to China, so she temporarily changed her flight, which is why I didn't pick her up that day. In the quiet living room, JoJo Cowell looked at her grandson, then at her granddaughter-in-law. Be good, such a nice girl, and you tell me she's a mute? Lucas. People really get busy when they're embarrassed. I smoothed my hair and turned to look around the house, trying to avoid Lucas's gaze. JoJo Cowell didn't expect anything from this grandson anyway. At least there was a soft, sweet little girl she could dress up. She rubbed her hands together excitedly. I shrunk my neck, feeling a chill down my spine. We didn't leave that night. I looked around the room. I didn't expect CEO Gu to live so modestly before. Lucas explained, my old man doesn't like to stand out. I've been going to public schools since I was little. Other than knowing that the entire neighborhood belongs to the Gu family, there's not much difference. Me, confused face. Versailles? I glared at Lucas. Turning my head, my gaze was drawn to the photo on the desk. Older sister. I couldn't believe it as I grabbed the photo and held it up next to Lucas. You. The beautiful older sister who took me away when I was a kid was you. Lucas's face darkened. He helplessly pulled me into his arms. Be good. I told you to call me older brother when we meet again. When I was 5 years old, my stepfather sold me to traffickers. Instead of just buying and selling people, they also kept a few children they could control and sent them out to beg on streets. They originally wanted to break my legs so I would look pitiful enough to get more money. "She's cute," a girl who was covered in injuries in the corner said, protecting me in her arms. "They don't let people with missing arms or legs into the shopping mall, but she can go inside to beg." They exchanged glances and were actually persuaded. From that day on, a woman would take me into the shopping mall to beg. As soon as I saw someone, she would force me to hug their legs. If they didn't give me money, I wouldn't let go, crying and wailing to sell my misery. Within a week, I became the best performer in the begging group. I also received the best treatment. I often secretly saved food and stuffed it to the older sister who had spoken up for me. She was covered in injuries, and her face had burns. She told me not to be afraid. She also told me that she already had a way to escape. She didn't lie to me. We escaped. When we parted, she told me that she was a boy, and his grandmother needed surgery. He wore a dress to make his grandmother happy. He didn't expect to be knocked unconscious and trafficked right after leaving the hospital. Lucas said with some helplessness. Thinking about it now, it still felt very outrageous. After I recovered from my injuries, I came back but couldn't find you. I suddenly realized the source of the misunderstanding. That photo is of me? Lucas nodded. It was found online. It was a snapshot of you when you entered school. Plus, the school's camera distorted it a bit, so you don't remember it. You should have known when we met again. Son of a gun. All this time, it turned out my unattainable love was myself. Lucas's proposal ended perfectly. Before holding the wedding banquet, my biggest worry was gathering enough bridesmaids. Stacy was afraid of being beaten to death on the spot and didn't dare to come. I didn't seem to know anyone else well enough. I painfully ran to the study for help. Kai, help me out. Connections, please. Looking up, the first thing I saw was the man's superior and sharp jawline, his sculpted and three-dimensional nose bridge, and the rimless glasses perched on it. I couldn't help but swallow. "Brother Daddy," my voice was so sweet it could drip. The sticky gazes of the two intertwined in the air, sparking a fire. Lucas bent down, single-handedly picked up the little girl who was hugging his leg and acting spoiled, and kicked open the bedroom door. The usually cold, restrained, and reserved demeanor turned into a rogue on the bed. My legs went weak, and I started to climb down. Before I could land, I was grabbed by the wrist and dragged back again. "Be good. You called it wrong." "Husband?" Lucas seemed to have opened a mysterious switch. "Say it again." My throat was burning. When would it end? I suddenly began to miss the days when I was a mute in Lucas's bed.